Hello everyone, this is Rodeline Ematuti, your reporter for today. And in today's video, we are going to talk about literary devices. So what do you think is literary devices? Whether you're a writer, a reader, or a student, it's important to know how literary devices work. For writers, strong device usage can elevate prose from meager to magnificent, while for the readers, they can provide a greater understanding of the text. Commonly, the term literary devices refers to the typical structures used by writers in their works to convey his or her messages in a simple manner to his or her readers. When employed properly, the different literary devices help readers to appreciate, interpret, and analyze a literary work. Okay, so in literature, any technique used to help the author achieve his or her purpose is called literary device. Literary devices are various elements and techniques used in writing to construct the whole of your literature to create an intended perception of writing for the readers. So, literary devices have two aspects. These are literary elements and literary techniques. So, literary elements have an inherent existence in literary piece and are extensively employed by writers to develop a literary piece. Example is the plot, the setting, the narrative structure, the characters, mood, theme, and etc. Writers simply cannot create his desired work without including literary elements in a thoroughly professional manner. Common literary elements are plot, setting, protagonist, antagonist, narrator, narrative method, dialogue, conflict, mood, and theme. Plot is the logical sequence of events that develop a story. Setting refers to the time and place in which a story takes place. Protagonist, which is the main character of the story, novel, or a play. Antagonist is the character in conflict with the protagonist. Narrator, which is the person who tells the story. The narrative method, which is the manner in which a narrative is presented comprising plot and setting. The dialogue, where characters of a narrative speak to one another. And the conflict, it is the issue in the narrative around which the whole story revolves. The mood, a general atmosphere of the narrative. And for the theme, which is the central idea of the concept of the story. So, literary techniques, on the contrary, are structures, usually a word or a phrases in literary text that writers employ to achieve not merely artistic ends, but also readers a greater understanding and appreciation in their literary works. Common literary techniques are imagery, simile and metaphor, hyperbole, personification, alliteration, allegory, and irony. Imagery, it is the use of figurative language to create visual representations of actions, objects, and ideas in our mind in such way that they appeal to our physical senses. For example, the room was dark and gloomy. The words dark and gloomy are visual images. Second is the simile and metaphor. Both compare two distinct objects and draws similarity between them. The difference is that simile uses as or like, while metaphor does not. For examples, my love is like a red rose. That is the simile. While for the metaphor, he is an old fox, very cunning. Third is the hyperbole. It is deliberate exaggeration of actions and ideas for the sake of emphasis. For example, your bag weighs a ton. Word is the personification. It gives a thing, an idea, or an animal human quality. For example, the flowers are dancing beside the lake. Fifth is the alliteration. It refers to the same consonant sounds in a words coming together. For example, better butter always makes the butter better. Next is the allegory. It is a literary technique in which an abstract idea is given a form of characters, actions, or events. For example, Animal Farm, written by George Orwell, is an example allegory using the actions of animals on a farm to represent the overthrow of the last of the Russian Tsar Nicholas II and the communist revolution of Russia before World War II. In addition, the actions of the animals of the farm are used to expose the greed and corruption of the revolution. For the last one, irony. It is the use of words in such way in which the intended meaning is completely opposite to their literal meaning. For example, the bread is soft as a stone. Literary techniques and literary elements are important to know because they make text more interesting and fun to read. If you were to read a novel without knowing any literary devices, chances are you wouldn't be able to detect any of the layers of the meaning interwoven into the story via different techniques. You don't have to use literary devices on every page, but few sprinkled here and there in your story give it a greater depth and meaning for your readers. As in anything in life, a balance of literary devices can move your reader along and affect your narrative in positive ways that will have them turning the pages until the very end. So that's all for this video. I hope you learned something about literary devices.